Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And in today's video we're going to be discussing the first little details we've got about Arrow Season 7. So let's discuss. So full disclaimer here first off, these are not huge details, these are not anything about the story, the villain, anything about the characters, nothing like that. They are just these tiny little things that we kind of know going into Season 7 thanks to what Stephen Amell has told us at the CW upfront and also just in other interviews recently in general, so full disclaimer. So I'll start off with the most conventional and kind of, I guess, tangible news that you can really get, and is that Arrow Season 7 is actually going to be getting 22 episodes next season, which is a very interesting piece of news given the fact that obviously Arrow, in terms of its ratings, has been down recently, quite heavily down in fact. So this was kind of something I expected. I didn't really expect them to go 22, I kind of expected them to perhaps maybe even go lower than that, but obviously Arrow for the past 6 years has always had 23 episodes per season, but now it's moving into 22, so it's got one less episode to fund, which, like I said, I feel like it's kind of inconsequential. Like, it's not that big of a deal, it's not really that big of a difference, it's not going to change much, it's just going to have one less episode than everything else. So perhaps it will be a bit out of shape in comparison to the rest of the other shows, like in comparison to Supergirl and Flash, but I mean, like I said, 22 episodes in comparison to 23, I mean, having less episodes is definitely a good thing for these shows, but it's one less episode, so it's really not going to make that much of a difference. It's just going to mean that they're going to have one less episode to fund this season, so they're going to have perhaps like another extra $1 million to play with. Also, Stephen Amell confirmed yesterday that Oliver Queen is going to be receiving his classic goatee look for Season 7. Now, this is something that us Arrow fans have waited for a long time. Us fans of the comics who love the classic looking Oliver Queen Green Arrow, we're finally going to be getting that in Season 7 as Oliver is going to be receiving the goatee. Now, we don't know to what extent, we don't know if it's going to be super long like it is in the comics. I doubt it will be like that. I doubt it will be a lot more of a conventional, typical looking, perhaps, goatee that perhaps something you could say in comparison to maybe Robert Downey Jr., something like that. Or something a bit more akin to how Green Arrow looks in Injustice 2, if you see that version of him in that game. I think maybe they'll be going for that sort of look for Oliver Queen, and with the longer sort of slick back hair. I think that'd be a really good look for Stephen Amell if he could actually pull that off. Considering how he normally has quite short hair, I don't know how well that'll sort of go for him, but I guess we'll have to see. Obviously this does blend into the story, because if Oliver is going to be getting out of prison next season, then perhaps this is what is going to have to happen. Even if he does break out, he's going to have to get a completely different look. Whether he breaks out or not, I think he's going to have a different look regardless. So, this kind of whole thing of giving him the goatee and the longer hair, he hasn't specified anything about the hair necessarily, but I think there are going to be hints towards that. But he is definitely getting the goatee, which is going to help disguise him more when he's in the public, which is what is going to have to be done. So I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to see how it looks. I can't wait to see, obviously, the more we see Stephen Amell in the upcoming months, the more we're going to start to see the goatee grow, I suppose. So that's going to be cool to see. And I can't wait to see it out there in the action. Like, perhaps if we actually get to see Oliver Queen in the Green Arrow suit with the beard, that's going to be an amazing, comic thing just for us to enjoy. So this is really cool news. And the final piece of news that we know about Arrow Season 7 that Stephen Amell announced the other day at the upfront is that Season 7 is going to be told in a different way. He says that they're going to be introducing a new way of storytelling that is unlike anything Arrow has done before, and it's going to be a new way of telling a story, which is something I'm very excited about, and something that he was very excited about as well. And I think this is going to be interesting. Now, I don't know what this means necessarily. He didn't, develop on that anymore. I feel like this is going to be perhaps Arrow moving away from its typical style, which is, you kind of have a scene, then a flashback, scene, then a flashback, that kind of thing. I know we kind of abandoned that in Season 6 anyway, because of the way, obviously, the flashbacks were wrapped up at the end of Season 5, but I think that Arrow still kept that style, going from scene to scene to scene to scene, in that similar sort of style, and I feel like perhaps we're going to be moving away from that, which would be a really interesting way to push Arrow in Season 7, something a bit different, something a bit more fun, a bit more poppy, and so a bit more diverse, because it would actually make Arrow feel different from its previous seasons to show that stuff really has changed, and also would help separate it from the other shows like Flash and Supergirl to make it feel a bit different to them as well, because all the shows in terms of their styles are very, very similar. Just in the way they go from scene to scene to scene. The only one that was different really was Arrow, because it was all flashbacks. But now in Season 6, it basically went to the exact same style as Flash and Supergirl. So if this new storytelling technique is going to be there and present, it's going to help actually separate Arrow from the other shows, and also separate it from its previous seasons to make it feel different and fresh, which is what I really need from Arrow Season 7. In Arrow Season 7, I really need it to be fresh, because we are going to be getting the 7th season of the show. It's been going for 7 years. We're going to need a bit more fresh and diversity, and hopefully we don't you know, just settle for mediocre, because that's kind of like how Season 6 was. Season 6 was just, you know, your typical kind of season of Arrow, and hopefully we can move away from that, and hopefully Season 7 is really fun and really unique to make it fresh and keep it fresh for Season 7, which is likely to be its final season. And there were a couple of other details that we know already before all this came out, which is that Beth Schwartz is going to be the showrunner on the show. She's going to be taking over Wendy Miracle and also Mark Guggenheim. She's going to be taking over. I don't really know what this is going to be. I don't know how she's going to fare. I like Beth Schwartz a lot. I think she's really passionate about the show, but in terms of her writing, not really the best. So we'll have to see how that fares. Also, of course, we do know that Colton Haynes is going to be returning as Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, next season in a series regular position. So that's pretty much all we know about Arrow Season 7 at this point. So make sure you tell me all your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. All these little details. Obviously, it's not a lot to go on, but it's nice just to have these first little details about Arrow Season 7 going into the season and going into Comic-Con and things like that. It's going to be really exciting. So make sure you tell me all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, I'd just like to plug this, as I always do. I will be attending Heroes and Villains Fan Fest this Saturday, which is the 26th of May. It's going to be taking place in London at the Olympia Stadium. I'm going to be there, going to be interacting with loads of other DC TV YouTubers, also going to be interacting with loads of the stars, like I'm meeting Stephen Amell himself. I'm also meeting many others. I've made a video about it, so you can check that out. But also, I'd also like to just, you know, announce that if you are going to be there, then also, you know, if you see me, feel free to come up and say hi. It'd be awesome to meet some of you guys. It's going to be really cool. And it's going to be an awesome event, and I really can't wait for it. I'd also like to plug my new podcast, which I've started. We're now 4 episodes in. I made a video about it a while back, but it's called Honor Thy Podcast. It's a DC TV Arrowverse podcast, which I do with my good friend Dan, aka Mulekick Media, where we discuss all of the week's episodes of that week. So, you know, we go through all the week's episodes and then we preview the next week. So it's gonna be, you know, it's a really fun podcast. It gets quite intense at times. It's definitely a fun discussion type thing. So if you're into that and you love my videos and you like, you know, the content I make, then definitely go check out the podcast, because it's quite similar. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that too. I'll make sure I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for all of your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.